Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Senior to Seniors podcast. Today, I feel like I have a really special guest for you joining me today. It's Vita Oyler, and she's joining me from California. Vita has quite a story. She's been on quite a journey in her life. And this particular podcast is talking about pain, and so many of us share a lot of different kinds of pain. Of course, as she explains in the book, and I'll ask her about, she explains chronic pain and acute pain, and we'll talk about the differences between the two. But I thought it was especially important for seniors to talk about this and to have somebody here who can really address the issue of pain, because so many of us, so many people, not just seniors, suffer with pain and don't know exactly how to deal with it. But everybody has their own story, and Vita's was pretty special. We're going to talk about her book, which is available on Amazon, called "Got Pain, Now What." She wrote this book last year, and so it's a great read, pretty easy. It's not a long book. It's read in a couple hours, unless you're like me and you stop to make highlights all over the book, which I did. But it's a easy read, and it's quite a story. And Vita, it took me in directions I wasn't ready for when you took me there. But we'll talk more about that. Let me introduce this audience to you, Vita. Vita is a rehabilitation counselor, and she's the author of the book, Got Pain, Now What? And an inspirational speaker who specializes in chronic pain. She suffered from chronic pain herself for more than 35 years. When she was a young, highly athletic woman, she accidentally stepped on a rock, after which she developed reflex sympathetic dystrophy, also known as RSD, a severe malfunction of the nervous and immune systems. This led to decades of excruciating pain and ultimately the amputation of her foot and part of her leg. But she's managed to survive and thrive via incorporating humor into her healing journey. Laughter releases the body's natural painkillers known as endorphins, she says. Researchers have found that humor can increase tolerance to pain. Vita is an expert in navigating through her own pain, which has enabled her to live a full and a very successful life. She is a fellow of the AAPM and has a master's degree in rehabilitation counseling from San Diego State University. She was accepted into their doctoral program and now continues her post-degree studies towards a doctorate. And I know that's been a mission of yours, Vita, and we'll talk a little bit about that. But welcome. I'm so glad you're here.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate
Um,
that.
yeah, what a story. And why don't we talk a little bit? Why don't you tell your story in your own words rather than having someone like me read it? Tell us about how you were inspired to write the book. And I think the inspiration is all in the book. But talk a little bit about what inspired you to write it, and why did you do it?
Oh, goodness. The reason I did it, being a rehab counselor, I with worked with a lot of people with injuries and disabilities, and people didn't know what to do. It was like they go to the doctors and doctors would give them medication, and they, like me, would say, "Guy, I can't do anything. I just feel like a zombie." And again, I don't know what a zombie feels like, but seems like it's a good term.
Yeah, yeah.
And so, I just thought there's got to be more than just having your doctors say, well, this is all we could do for you. Take two Tylenols or take the opioid, whatever medication it is, and see ya, that kind of thing.
Hmm.
And you're kind of left out there in the dark. So I was inspired to write it to help others. Really, I just said there's got to be a way. I mean, I have been living with this pain for a long time, and I have found ways to feel better, get on
Hmm.
with my life, enjoy my family, um, enjoy my cats.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and that's what really got me inspired to write life itself, you know.
Well, and I can see in your book, because you've included lots of pictures of your friends, your cats, and so we can see that you know you're very close to them, and they're important to you. But let's talk about this accident that you had. I'm guessing, I'm trying to remember, were you hiking when you stepped on a
I was
stone? What
running,
were you were running?
running, and I
Okay.
stepped on a rock, a small rock.
Were
Nothing,
you on a trail or something, or you know?
just out, running in just an open area, but it was small, and it was
Yeah.
kind of evening, and I really didn't see it. And I stepped on this rock, and I felt pain, and I thought, oh wow, what happened? What was that? And the next day, my my during that night, my foot was really hurting real bad, and I went to my doctor's on the next day, and the doctor said, "Oh, gee, you have a hairline fracture."
Hmm.
From that time on, he casted it. And I was in a walking cast, and while I was in the walking cast, it it swelled. My toes swelled and got blue and cold. And then, of course, I went back to my doctor's. Then, taking off the cast, he said, I think you've developed something known as RSD. And I said, well, what is RSD? And we went into his office, and he said it was, reading from his medical journal. He was explaining that it had occurred quite often during the Civil War. And that's where actually they started diagnosing RSD. But they called it more causalgia and
Yeah.
didn't
They
too
kind
much
of grouped it in with other
with other
names, right?
chemical conditions. Yeah. Yeah.
Man. And so how scared were you when your toes started turning blue, and then you got the cast off? And then, as a result of all this, moving ahead just a little bit, Vita, not only did your foot turn blue, but you developed into what's called, I think, dead foot or something close
Yeah.
to that, where your foot was
Yeah.
just a piece of meat.
Oh,
Um,
yeah. It was just more like that. And I, I was undergoing some treatments to try and get rid of the RSD as well, improve the circulation, because I was,
right.
they called it sometimes a diabetic foot, but had nothing to do with diabetes.
Hmm.
And so I had what they called a dead foot. And there wasn't anything that they could do to make it better. So they ended up amputating just the foot. And I was totally scared, of course. I mean,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
when I saw my foot become a dead foot, I was like immediately, of course, concerned. And I thought about my life, and I thought, what am I going to do? My husband was going to medical school, and how am I going to take care of Tom and my home? And it was just it was hard. And but after that, I tell you, it wouldn't heal, so they had to go back and they cut off my leg then.
for a second surgery, second amputation, and then they
Yeah,
did a surgery and they removed your leg up to your knee. Is that correct?
right.
Up
Yes.
to that point.
Okay.
So I'm guessing that probably, um, as terrible as that had to be, of losing a part of you. I've kind of been there, teeny weeny kind of a bit, because I am type 2 diabetic and I lost a toe. And
Mm.
I know when they had to amputate my toe, the feeling was, well, it's not a big deal. I've always hated my feet anyhow, but I've always hated them. Nobody sees them. I never wore sandals, um, and but I can't imagine the loss of, a foot, and then going back a second time. But all of this time, Vita, not only were you suffering from RSD, but you also had other pain in your life as well, right? You had fibromyalgia. You had other things invading your life. What are the other things that were, as we talk about this pain, and we're not looking to score points, that the more problems that you have, the better your story. But as you told the story in your book, it's like, good Lord, how much can anybody handle? I think I told you before we started that, my sister had fibromyalgia, had to quit teaching, went on disability, and it vastly changed her life to where she was to the point where she could hardly walk any longer. But what other issues besides RSD, as if there needed to be any more issues, did you have with pain?
Well, the fibromyalgia, yes. And then I developed RA, rheumatoid arthritis.
That's right.
And that was another one that was really painful. I was like, oh my, RA? Are
Yeah,
you kidding?
yeah.
Just call me the walking malady. Um,
Well,
uh, at that point. And then, and recently, and this is after the book, but I've developed what they think is well, I have RSD in my hands because it moved on to my other extremities. So you could see it's red and they
okay.
swell up and they're painful. And then I developed it in my other foot while I was giving a lecture on RSD.
Oh, geez, yeah,
And it developed there. So, I mean, I developed it in all limbs. And recently, it's not in the book, I developed it in my eyes. They think it's an offset of the RSD. And so I have painful eyes, but you know, I'm still here and I'm
yeah.
grateful.
Well,
You know.
one of the things I learned early on in your book was the difference between chronic pain and acute pain. And so,
Yeah.
will you give the listeners the definition so at least if they're having pain, and I think everybody
Yeah.
has some pain of some kind, they can separate the difference. Can you identify the difference between chronic pain and acute pain for my listeners?
Sure. Sure. Acute pain is something that happens. You stub your toe, it's acute. It hurts, and but it goes away. And usually acute pain will last up to about 3 months.
Okay.
Anything over 3 months is then becoming more chronic. And in chronic pain, it develops where you that pain syndrome, it just sets up. And they're not sure exactly I mean, researchers aren't in pain clinics aren't exactly sure what sets up that process. But if you have something going on longer than 3 months, I would say, see your doctor and see if you can get referrals to maybe pain clinics where
Hmm.
they can teach people how to, um, you
Deal with
know,
pain.
deal with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, and
So where in this journey did or were there concerns with the use of opioids, with pain-killing drugs? How did that come in and affect your life? It had to, because
oh
you're
God,
looking for, yeah, you're looking for relief. Just please, somebody give me some relief. So how did
exactly.
how did that enter? How did you deal with opioids and finding some relief for your pain, Vita?
Yeah. The opioids, of course, they gave me the first one they gave me was amitriptyline, and that was, something. I guess I'm okay, but it wasn't helping,
Okay,
and so they kept going further and further with different types of medications. I think I've taken every one that's out there
sure.
um, at the beginning.
Hmm.
At the beginning. And I did not like, and I did not want to live taking painkillers all my life. I mean, I said, no, I can't do this. I didn't like living, in this state of not doing anything. Because really what it did was just numb you.
Well, and you mentioned before we started today that you
Yeah,
felt zombie-like,
exactly.
not knowing what zombie-like really is, but I think we all kind of know it's this moving thing that walks
Yeah,
endlessly in a haze, right?
that's right. Mhm.
And so,
That's
um,
exact. And yeah, and it scared me because I said, and I would tell Tom, there's no way I'm going to live like that, as well as my doctors, because I was kind of their oh, guinea pig because
sure.
they were trying things to make the pain go away. And I didn't want to live like that.
Hmm.
I said, no, there's got to be a better way. There's
Hmm.
got to be a better way to live than being on pain medication. And that's why, I started evolving and looking at other alternatives.
Well, and you sure did because you talk about some of those alternatives in your book
Yeah.
that, hypnotherapy. You tried hypnotherapy. You had a psychologist. You tried acupuncture. You tried all kind injections, trying to find relief. How have you found relief now? What has helped you?
Well, there are some things. For me, I found that after my last major amputation, I had a little miracle happen to me, and it was, it's my little miracle, but because of this miracle that happened, it changed my life and it changed my perception
Hmm.
on how to live.
Hmm.
And I find my strength through this spiritual experience that I had.
Yeah,
And I live that way every day now.
yeah.
And just very grateful for what I have. And that's what you have to look at. I mean, I look at the good things.
Yeah.
And
Do you mind, Vita,
so,
do you mind if I expand on that by reading from your book? That particular passage in your book? Do you mind if I
yeah,
touch on
yeah,
that?
no,
Um,
I don't.
well, it was not a turning point in your book, but it hit me in the face. It was like a punch, so to speak. I wasn't expecting, you know, the the little miracle that you explained, but I would love to read from it and understanding that not everybody who watches this podcast on YouTube or listens to it otherwise on Spotify or Apple, wherever they might be listening to this, is a spiritual being or has a particular belief in any particular God of their choice. But I think it's important because this is your miracle that you shared with the world that had an impact on me, and I think maybe more than you might realize probably has an impact on the readers who come to page 23 at the bottom of the page and come into this explanation. So I want to read from this. This is when you were recuperating and you were in your parents' home recuperating, I believe, and you were in the bedroom
Yes.
upstairs alone.
Mhm.
And this is what you say. You said you could hear them, but you couldn't see them. And then suddenly a man wearing a white robe became visible. He had shoulder-length light hair and a beard. He appeared at the foot of my bed. He started to move towards me with his arms and hands extended towards me. As he got closer, I became scared, and I tried to call out for my mother, but my voice would not work. I became more fearful. I finally got my voice back and was only able to say, Ma, Ma. He then got closer to me. His arm stretched out and his hand was ready to touch me. He finally touched my hand, my face, and forehead and said with a calming voice, do not be afraid. You will be going through many things, trials in your life, but don't be afraid because I will always be with you. He said these words as his hand touched my forehead and gently brushed down my cheek and my chin. I suddenly felt at peace. A calmness came over me. I no longer felt pain. I was no longer scared. Then, as he appeared, he suddenly disappeared. Now, I've got to tell you that that's a goosebump moment for people like me, and I know it had to have a huge impact on your life. So he, I've sang the song "Be Not Afraid" in church many times as a musician. It's one of my favorite songs in the Catholic Church we sing. And those are his words, be not afraid, for I am with you. Come follow me. And so how did that moment uh, help you? How did it change your life? Can you expand on that a little bit if you don't mind? We lost Vita.
Here we are. Are we
Yeah,
there?
I am here.
Okay. Uh, but after he touched my face and and then disappeared like that, and then I was able to get my mom and dad in the bedroom.
Yeah.
It it changed my life because I had I had this experience and I couldn't explain it to my mom and dad, really. My dad was
Yeah.
kind of agnostic,
Hmm.
um, very spiritual Catholic too, as I am. And she uh, she said, "Oh my God, Vita, look at your face. Oh, John, look at her face. She's so different."
Huh.
And my father, who was agnostic, and my cousin Angelo, they were, looking through the bedrooms, going through the bathrooms, looking for this man that I described um, wearing a white robe and all.
Hmm. Hmm.
And the thing is that, my father, he said, I can't believe how you've changed because I was in agony. I used to do this, you know, to uh, to deal with the pain. And after I said that, my mother had she called her pastor priest, and he came by because he had seen me earlier in the day, and he said, "Oh my gosh, Vita, you look you look different. You look, you look like you're at peace. I don't know, I can't explain it." And then he asked me to explain it, what happened. I said, "Oh, Father, I saw blah, blah, blah." And he just went, and he just dropped his jaw, and then he put his hand on my forehead here, and then he said, "Vita, if you say you saw him, then you saw him."
Hmm.
And so after that, I just knew, uh, that I did see him and my life was going to be okay. I was going to move forward. I knew that I wasn't going to be afraid of what was going to come. I wasn't going to be afraid anymore. I knew that I was going to be doing things, moving forward, and that, everything would be okay. And you know what the beauty is that my father, who is a non-believer, passed away a few months later. But I was so glad that he got to see that I was going to be all right. And
Yeah,
that,
yeah. Not only did it bring you peace, but it brought your father
yeah,
peace and those around you peace. And
right.
so today you still live with that peace. Yeah,
Oh gosh,
yeah,
big time. Oh,
yeah.
yeah. Every every day of course, I give my day to him,
Hmm.
and I just say I'm so thankful for everything you give me, and so grateful for me allowing me to do what I need to do for you. That's how I put
Yeah.
it.
Well,
And that's how I,
when I pray for people that are sick, I know that I'm not necessarily, in my case, praying for healing, but I'm praying for comfort and
comfort.
hoping that they
Right.
get the comfort that they need to be able to get through whatever
Yeah.
is ailing them. It's a beautiful story,
Yeah.
and thank you for sharing it and expanding
Mm.
upon it from your book. So let's get back to more pain. So, what misconceptions do you think the public or even healthcare providers have about chronic pain?
Well, a lot of times I find that they believe it's all in your head. So you
Hmm.
might get that. I
Hmm.
hurt, I hurt, I hurt. Oh, well, it's all in your head. It's all
Hmm.
here. And it's not. Pain is very subjective. Not two, no two pains are really alike. They're not.
Hmm.
It's
Hmm.
what you feel.
Hmm.
And so I think a lot of doctors kind of dismiss a lot of pain sometimes. Um, they don't, like I say, they don't have a lot of them. And I'm not putting down any doctors because I
I
have,
understand.
no, no, but a bit, I mean, in school, they don't really get the education that they should
Hmm.
probably get, since there's 1.5 billion people that have pain, suffer with pain worldwide.
Yeah,
Um, but they don't have that total understanding of what pain feels like for an individual. I mean, pain is very real.
it's real.
And
Yeah.
yeah,
And often I think doctors might ship you off to a pain clinic or, and let them deal with it. And maybe that's the best thing. I
With
mean,
it.
they're the
Yeah.
professionals, right? They
Yeah,
understand.
exactly. Oh
And they
yeah, oh yeah, definitely. And there's, I think you have to work with your doctors. And in fact, things that I do, I chose alternatives. But always work with your doctor. I mean, it's good. It's good that
mhm,
you're in contact with your doctor. Ask them before you, like I started taking supplements and this and that, but I let my doctors know.
sure.
You think you'll be okay? Oh yeah, Vita, go ahead.
Well, and I think that's important in your journey because it's so important that you
Mm.
even started a natural food store, I believe,
Right,
right?
we
Correct?
did.
And
Exactly.
so, you've bought in, so to speak, into
Everybody.
would it be called holistic medicine, using nutrition
Yes,
and right? So
nutrition.
talk
Right.
about
That's what,
talk about that. Talk about your food store, if you would like. I think people
sure.
listeners would like to know what your prescription was, because if they're
Yeah.
going through pain, they're not going to get that prescription likely from a doctor. I think
No,
nutrition and pain are the two things that doctors know little about, right?
right,
And so talk a
right.
little bit about
Right.
nutrition and how that's helped you.
Oh my goodness. Well, the first thing that we find is that, or that we found, was processed foods for me. Um, and others that came into our store because I had the little thing going on. But highly processed foods are kind of aren't really good for your body, and they
Right?
seem to increase the pain. So if you eat a bag of chips the whole day, I mean they're good. Oh God, that salt is good.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
does have, it can create havoc on your body. So we're looking at things like eating more natural foods, more vegetables, um, fruits, like I say, uh, avoiding a lot of the red meats because red meat tends to cause inflammation. And of course, inflammation causes pain.
Hmm.
So we started, looking at things like that to eat better, eat better.
Hmm.
Um, so those are really important for me,
Hmm.
and it worked. I was going to some doctors here, and when I developed RSD in my other leg, to get it diagnosed. And even though I was getting massage therapy, the doctor there said, "So what are you doing? What are you doing that's different?" And I told him, what I was doing. And I was also taking a supplement again. Yeah, that's something that you always discuss with your doctors because I'm not a doctor.
Hmm.
Uh, but I was taking malic magnesium,
Okay.
malic acid magnesium, and CoQ10. And the doctor at that specific clinics said, "Well, I'm gonna, I think I'll look into it." So he came into our store and he was looking around. He didn't know that I owned the store, that we were
Yeah,
to the store. And he just he looked at me, "Oh, you shop here too?" And I go,
yeah.
"Uh-huh."
A little bit more than that,
Oh,
huh?
all right. But he said, "I'm going to see if that malic acid magnesium works, and I'm going to see if it'll help some of my patients," because he had like a little pain clinic going on. And so he he gave feedback. He gave us back the feedback, and it was helping his patients.
Fantastic.
That was a
Okay.
good thing. I thought, oh, good. And then I had to tell him, uh, actually, my family owns it after I saw him at the clinic. I didn't want to embarrass you.
Yeah, yeah. Do you tell me about your store?
Yeah.
Do you have a brick and mortar store in California? Do you do all online? Tell us a little bit about your store.
Yeah, they would do orders online, of course, but but it's a natural foods. And of course, a
Okay.
lot of stores, I'm excited. I see a lot of grocery stores going to more of the natural, unprocessed foods that are available. And at our store, we just make it where it is available, and
Yeah.
not have carry the other stuff. But we yeah, you can actually go to cornucopianaturalfoods.com, and then you can even go to their Facebook page and you can see what they have. We even have organic coffee that my nephew's decided to set up.
Okay.
He goes, "Well, Auntie V, I think we'll do some organic coffee. What do you think?" I go, "Sure, go ahead and do organic coffee."
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Well,
But
I'm originally from Iowa, where there's a
uh,
lot of beef, there's a lot of beef, but there's
yes,
no
yes,
doubt that the beef is affected by all the runoff of chemicals that are in the fields. I mean, it goes into your
yeah.
body. And one kind
Mhm.
of amusing thing for me that I've kind of noticed more lately than ever is commercials for dog food and
Uh,
talking about natural dog food and with the whole kind of thought that why would you give your dog processed foods? Why would you do that? And when I'm watching, I'm thinking, well, that's what I put in my body all the time, right? Because of the ease of it. And
yeah,
of course, awareness to that is hugely important. And,
yeah.
you can attest to that. So
Oh,
much that you invested in your own
we invested
storefront.
in it. We're going to
Yeah.
set up a business doing this because, boy, it works. I mean, it works. It
Yeah.
works for me. It works for the people that come into the store, and I mean, for us, this I'm talking about that, but
Uh-huh.
it works. It works for them, and they all look for that now. They want to eat better too, and they want to look at different supplements, and they want to look at alternatives. Um, and not feel bad because when you're in pain or when you have an illness, you, it's better to eat better if you're nourish your body
Of course.
more than not. But
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
but
So I'm interested in your doctor. So when you were first diagnosed, um,
yeah,
with um, RSD, um, did you seek a specialist? Did you, I being from Iowa, I know if there was anything major, we would run to the Mayo Clinic, right in Minnesota. Did you seek the help of others when you got this, Vita?
yes,
Oh,
yes. The doctor that I had, he really didn't know what he said it. He said, "I really don't know what I'm going to do to treat it." And he's the one that said it was something that was diagnosed during the Civil War.
right.
So I was referred to, yeah, uh, and I lived in San Diego at that time, and I was referred to the big pain clinic that we had. Um, and I'm going to say it was Scripps Pain Clinic.
Okay.
And they really didn't know how to treat the RSD either. So it was just kind of more like trial and error, sympathetic blocks to sympathectomies, going through to the back and severing the sympathetic nerve. Uh, and then other doctors were trying different things like uh, pumping, like caustic medic. Well, yeah, it was caustic because it burnt my leg into the nerve to try and kill the nerve. It was just all kinds of things that were just not working
Yeah.
and causing more pain and frustration. And but I mean, I'm glad they're there because I learned, different avenues from them too, from, stress management, self-hypnosis, things like that as well.
Yeah.
So that was a good thing.
Yeah.
And
Well, I think the world of medicine
yeah,
had to expand because of the internet and the
yeah,
knowledge that's available to all of us. You know,
uh,
I'm sure some of the people listening to this today will run and they'll try to figure out what RSD is and they'll read more about it. They'll write more about it. And that's the point of it. And so doctors have that same ability. And I'm glad to hear because I wasn't sure what kind of medical care that you received and what was available to you. So, a lot of people, as we talked, suffer with chronic pain and a lot of different pains. But what lifestyle changes can people make other than just, I shouldn't say just diet, because I think diet is hugely important, but what lifestyle changes did you have to make in order to help yourself besides just food?
yes, lifestyle changes. I learned that if you want to move on, because you become isolated when you're in pain and
Yeah.
you don't want to do anything. So I think that you need to set goals, and I call them baby step goals.
Okay.
A goal of getting up in the morning. I'm just going to use that as an example. Getting up in the morning, making breakfast for yourself, and washing the dishes, and then and write it down, and then it's in my book too, where you can check it off, little
And that's right.
examples.
That I'm glad you pointed that out because there are
Yep.
places in your book where you can do that and you help the readers be able to track it
Yeah,
and to be able
track it.
to track it,
Track
write it
it.
down, realize it, and then learn to deal with it.
Right.
Right?
Exactly, exactly. And when you do that and you're focused and if you accomplished what it is that you were going to do, check it off, pat yourself on the shoulder and and move on. I think that's important because if you don't do that, you're just going to sit there and not want to do anything. I even think today I'm gonna make a call to Susie and then write it down or do it the day before, write it down, and
Mhm.
then make that call. Make that telephone call. They'll be surprised to hear from you
Yes.
and they'll love it. And to start getting out there. And then I'm not saying spend hours, but just, hi, this is Vita, and I just thought I'd give you a call, and how are you? And start getting yourself out there. And then I know it's not, it's I know it sound like oh well, that's easy for you to say, but I've been there. So
Hmm.
I know how you feel, how you would feel doing that. But those are the lifestyle changes, getting out there, changing your words from I can't to I can. Oh, I can. I can do this. Be more positive in your speech. Because when you're
Yes.
positive in your speech, you're going to be positive in your action. Life changes too. Enjoying, doing the stress management, mindfulness, prayer, through meditation or whatever, that helps also to relax the body. And it helps me, and I know it'll help, and it's helped others, and that's a lifestyle change. Then the other thing too, I think is important to not not look at everything negatively, but look at the positives and smile. And it's hard. I mean, I'm telling people, well, or they may be saying, well, it's easy for you to smile. I don't feel like smiling. Well, that's fine. But when you crack a little smile, it's really it's really hard to frown and get mad. Just by cracking a little smile and then laughing a little bit, it releases those endorphins. So
It's
I
true.
believe, you believe that, doing that every day, be it through a comedy. I love watching things like I Love Lucy. Something that is just, it's not negative at all. It's
Just silly.
fun, silly,
Hmm.
and it gives you a smile, something to
Hmm.
smile. You may not be in a huge laughter, but smiling. That's really releasing that endorphin. Looking outside, watching a bird do something funny, or there are things to smile about that you can get yourself to do. And I tell the seniors, do that. It's important because there's more to life than just being in agony.
Hmm.
But lifestyle changes are important, like that. And music. Put some good music on, relaxing music if you like.
Hmm.
Learn to play a piano. Be creative. Take up painting or sketching or something to keep your mind focused on something else other than what you are feeling. Um, and it's amazing. Your mind could do so many
Sure.
good things,
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah. Well,
But
and the subconscious is so important, right?
yeah,
What you were talking about, that in my business I refer to as affirmations. For
yeah,
every day. Um, the founder of the company I'm with talks about affirmations a lot and encourages all to spend 20 minutes a day, the beginning of our day, writing down positive affirmations. It
yes,
feeds the subconscious, and the subconscious doesn't know any better. If you say I will, the subconscious believes it because the subconscious, doesn't know any better. It doesn't reason. It just takes the information in. But a lot of what you talked about in your book, while you didn't uh, title it anything, an acronym. In my business, we called it SMART goals, and I think that's kind of what you have. That are goals that are, specific, for S, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. And it seems like that has helped you address
yeah,
help you, address your pain and the issues that you've gone
yeah.
through. And then you mentioned, the animals, the birds, and for you, your cats, your animals have played a huge part,
Oh,
right?
my goodness, cat, dog, turtle, a goldfish, something that you can focus on other than yourself. And
Sure.
believe me, they bring, for me, I have cats, and they bring me so much joy.
Hmm.
Uh, and others have that I know have dogs, and I have this one client that I worked with, and she's got a parrot, and
Yeah, whatever it is.
whatever it is, but it gets you to focus on something other than the pain you're feeling.
Well, it sounds like, while your foot was amputated and then, your leg up to the knee and you were fit with a prosthetic, it sounds like you've grabbed back your life, that you've taken charge of your life. And
Yeah,
right now you're working on your PhD,
right.
right? And that mission. You talked about, and I'm not sure where it happened. So, where you lost the ability to the possible teaching at Notre Dame. Did I understand that correctly? How did
Oh
Notre
yeah,
Dame fit into
yeah.
this?
That was actually it happened during a time when I developed the RSD in my other leg,
Hmm.
and I couldn't I couldn't go forward with it at that point because I would have had to move.
Yeah.
And And so, but that's, that's all right. The doors have opened
in other ways.
another.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the reason I ask you is because my father, in the late 20s, early 30s, I believe, actually it was the mid 30s, had a full ride scholarship to play football at Notre Dame. But
Oh gosh.
coming from an Italian family, the family needed him in the business, and he was told you can't do that. Now, the Second World War started, and of course he went, to fight because he had to. But he found other things that probably made his life maybe better because of it. He found a way, like you're finding a way, to get through that, to get through all the pain and everything that you've gone through to work towards getting your PhD. And so what's next for you, Vita? What is next for you?
Well, right now, I'm looking forward to actually writing some more. And I'm looking at expanding on other things with pain, but I also have an idea of writing about my Italian family.
Okay.
My mother, who um, she was a comedy herself. I mean, with her accent and what she would do. I mean, everybody around here would say, you need to write a book.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, so I'm thinking, because I've been in correspondence also with a group that are looking for ideas on different shows, and I like comedies,
Hmm.
and so
Hmm.
I told them about my mom. So they said it would be nice if you could maybe write a little book about your mom, and then we could go from there. And I went,
Sure.
okay.
Yeah,
So I'm
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So
as
you
a
you you
endeavor.
you you also speak, right? You're available to speak,
Oh yeah.
and so let's talk just briefly, because we just got a few minutes. How do people reach you if they would like to know more about you, would like to know about what's next for you, or to invite you to come to their group, to their conference, to keynote uh, whatever company they're with? How are they best able to contact you?
They could go to navigatingthroughpain.com,
Okay,
or could go to navigating pain, I believe it is, at gmail.com.
okay,
And
so
right now, I'm having a little difficulty, just so you know, with my website, but that should be up and running. So if anybody does go to that site right now, we're getting some static there.
okay,
But you could go to the Gmail.
okay,
And then, what else? And they could also contact Cornucopia at that website.
okay.
Um,
Okay,
and
so the navigating through pain, just so everybody's clear, and we're talking mostly to seniors, so some of us seniors, I'm talking for me, need things explained to them slowly. So it's the word navigating, the word through, and the word pain.com,
right,
navigatingthroughpain.com, and they'll be able to find you there. Um,
right.
well, it sounds like you've got a lot ahead of you. Um, yeah, and a lot of work to do yet. And I wish we had more time to spend together because I have so many questions. I got pages of stuff to ask you, but and maybe we can do this at another time. And thank you for telling your story and enlightening me and people who are listening to this show. I hope they reach out to you if they have more questions. And Vita, it's been a joy Thank you so much for being with me, and I hope we have the availability to talk again. Thank you so
Thank,
much. I appreciate you. Have a
thank you
great day.
so much. Thank you very much for having me.
You
You
bet.
too.
Take care.